Are you in ketosis but still not losing weight? Watch this video to find out what is going on and what you can do about it. Hey Carb Dodgers, my name is Dr. Dan Maggs. I'm so glad you've landed on my channel. I help people achieve sustainable weight loss through low carb, real food diets. I release new videos every Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified whenever I post new content. So you're on the keto diet and have, importantly, managed to get into ketosis, but you're still not losing weight. Now there could be a number of factors at play here, so stay tuned to the end of this video and I'll make sure to take you through all of the reasons why this might be. Most commonly, it's just a minor bit of tweaking that is needed, and I've helped loads of people get over this hurdle in their keto journey. So let's get started. Firstly, I want to get one thing clear. Everything from this point on assumes that you've confirmed with some sort of testing that you're in ketosis and you're not just relying on symptoms, okay? Now I've got a whole playlist about the different ways to measure ketones, so go and check that out if you're not sure how to do this. That playlist is linked up the top in the corner here. Making sure you're in ketosis before we start is important, because if you're not in ketosis, then what you actually need is my free troubleshooting guide, Why Am I Not in Ketosis, which you can download from my website, and that is going to be linked along with all the resources that I mentioned in this video down below in the description. So we've established that you're in ketosis. Before we can understand what is really going on, we have to understand, what does being in ketosis actually tell us? All it tells us is that we're burning fat as our primary source of fuel. The problem is that it doesn't tell us where that fat is coming from, and it could be from one of two places: our stored body fat or fat that we're consuming, dietary fat. While it's true that fats are nothing to shy away from while you're on the ketogenic diet, it's not just a free pass to consume as much fat as you want. And I want to take a second to dispel a really common keto myth, and that is that you can't get fat from eating fat. And that's simply incorrect. You can gain weight from eating too much fat. There's a very efficient transport system that takes dietary fat from your gut to your fat cells. It's not just about carbs and insulin. Just Google kilomicrons if you want to learn more about that process. And this brings us to the most important reason why you can be in ketosis but not lose weight. You're consuming too much fat. Now, one of the amazing things about the ketogenic diet is that people tend to feel a lot less hungry on it, and therefore eat less naturally. Off the back of this, many people slip very easily into a pattern of intermittent fasting as well, and that helps. But there are certain fat sources that can sneak up on us in our daily consumption and just tip us over the edge into over-consuming fat. And yes, you'll technically be in ketosis, but you won't be losing weight. So first, don't go nuts. Nuts are a prime example of a fatty food that very quickly makes our daily calorie intake higher than our energy expenditure. Whilst many nuts are low in carbs, they are in fact very energy dense, meaning they contain a lot of energy or calories. Take this 100 grams of walnuts. It's probably just a little bit over a handful, and it only has 7 grams of net carbohydrates. So depending on what else you're eating in the day, it may well be low enough to keep you in ketosis. But it also contains about 700 calories, and that's just in this small pot here. Now, I don't know about you, but I could easily get through these in a day if I was snacking on them. And if that was a bowl of peanuts that were salted, yeah, very easily. Cream is another really common place I see people making a mistake. And that's either both added into food, but very commonly in coffee. So if you're a cream in your coffee kind of person and you're drinking several cups a day, it can easily add up to consuming quite a lot of fat over the course of the day. Cheese is another one which can be really quite easy to overdo, and you'll find loads of keto recipes out there which rely very heavily on cheese. Cheese is also a really easy thing to snack on. And then we've got things like keto coffees or bulletproof coffees or butter coffees and fat bombs. And these are basically just pure fat. Now, they do have their place, especially in the early stages of getting used to burning fat as your primary source of energy, but they can be an easy way to overconsume fat if you're not careful. So if you're definitely in ketosis but aren't losing weight, I'd suggest cutting back or eliminating these things from your diet until you start to get the needles moving on the scale again. And finally, I just want you to be wary of the amount of fat that you're adding to your food. Butter, mayonnaise, olive oil, other things like that. And whilst I'm not saying you shouldn't add these to your food at all, it's just that some people go a bit far with the adding butter to stuff thing. It tastes amazing, but you can overdo it. So if you're struggling to lose weight and you're not doing any of the stuff that I talked about earlier, just be sure to check on how much fat you're adding to your meals. I just want to quickly mention snacking. I mentioned that some of the foods like nuts and cheese are very easy foods to snack on. But you shouldn't really feel the need to eat between meals whilst on a ketogenic diet, not if it's properly formulated anyway. If you feel the need to snack between meals, either you've not eaten enough at your last meal, in which case make sure you've eaten enough to satisfy your hunger, or you're simply snacking out of habit rather than out of hunger, which is something that I commonly see. In which case, try replacing that habit with something else. Why not try having a glass of water instead? Now, whilst we're on the topic of snacking, do you find yourself needing to snack much when you're in ketosis? If you do, is it out of habit or out of hunger? Let me know in the comments down below. Just type habit or hunger. Now let's dispel another keto diet myth, and that is that if some ketones are good, then more ketones must be better. And some keto professionals would argue that when it comes to weight loss, the higher your level of ketones, the faster you're going to be losing weight, and that you should simply add more fat in order to achieve this. Having a higher level of ketones, unfortunately, again doesn't tell us if your body is burning fat from your body fat, the stored fat, or from the fat you're consuming through your diet. It's possible that you've just got higher levels because you're burning more dietary fat. And so long as your readings on a blood ketone monitor are between 0.5 and about 3, you're in a reasonable level of ketosis. And it's probably not necessary for weight loss to increase your blood ketones anymore. It just doesn't really make sense when you think about it. For more on this, check out my video on the ideal ketone levels for weight loss, which again is linked up here and down below in the description. And I go into ketone levels in a lot more detail in that video. So let's talk in practical terms. How do we find out if we're consuming too much fat? Well, option 1, keep a food diary. It's enough for most people to simply keep a food diary for a few days. This can either be in paper form or simply just take a photograph of everything you're eating. Include all drinks and snacks in there. This simple act of recording things can bring you awareness to those small additions that may just be sneaking their way into your daily consumption and will promote a more mindful approach to eating. Option 2 is calorie counting. Now, I'm not a massive fan of calorie counting because calculating your energy expenditure is generally pretty inaccurate unless you're in a lab, and food labels aren't much better either. But if all else has failed, it occasionally can be useful to help you know if you're way out on your calorie balance and to help you identify problem areas within your diet. And there are a number of apps and trackers available. I quite like using the MyFitnessPal app and website, and also watch type tracker to look at your energy expenditure over a day. I just urge a bit of caution with the numbers, because calorie counting can turn into a major headache if relied on too heavily due to all the inaccuracies, and trying to keep track of all the numbers. It's also pretty time consuming. So let's finish up this video by looking at some non-diet related reasons why you might not be losing weight. Stress. Yes, stress could be stopping you from losing weight. If you're someone who experiences daily stress in your work or personal life, this could be seriously impacting on your ability to lose weight. Now, nature's developed stress as a survival tool, putting our bodies into a state of stress to essentially freeze the nutrients that we currently have in our bodies in the event we won't be able to access food for a while. As a survival mechanism, stress is great, but nature hasn't developed a less drastic way to cope with the type of non-threatening life stresses that we experience in the modern world. Now, stress doesn't only impair us from losing weight, it can also negatively impact the way our bodies use our nutrients. Increasing daily movement has been proven time and time again to be an effective stress reliever, as exercise releases endorphins, a feel-good hormone. You may also wish to try something like yoga. Yeah, guys, that means you too. Which will not only be far more physically challenging than you might expect, it can also be great for stress relief too. And sleep. Nature wants us to sleep for about 8 hours a night, with various sleep stages, each just as important as the other. Anything less than 7 hours of sleep a night has been shown to cause some serious health concerns. And if you think you can function perfectly fine with 6 hours or less of sleep, then the reality is this may cause issues for you in the future. Not only do we make bad food choices when we're sleep deprived, we also consume a lot more, with an extra 200 to 300 calories consumed each day for people who sleep 6 hours or less. Catching those Z's can help you avoid weight gain and help you make better choices on what foods to consume. So go on, get to bed. Actually, hold on a second, we're nearly done with this video. Don't go anywhere. Now, I know some of you will be saying to yourselves, but I'm already doing all of this stuff. If you are and you're still struggling to lose weight, it might be time to go and see your doctor, who may wish to consider doing some blood tests in order to check whether you have a medical problem that may be hindering your efforts to lose weight. Hypothyroidism, or an underactive thyroid, is one very common health issue that may be impacting your ability to lose weight. It's a simple blood test to look for abnormal hormone levels, and it's pretty easy to treat too. So that's it for today's video. If you like this video, please let me know by liking it below and sharing it with your friends and family. Leave me a comment below if this video has helped you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can do that by clicking about here. And if you want to know which one of my videos you should check out next, well, I've very helpfully left you a suggestion over there. Aren't I nice? See you next Tuesday.